And I will now invite our next speakers, April Tucker and Meaghan Westlund, to join us. Very briefly, I know we circulated the program and the bios, but April Tucker is the Indigenous Resource Liaison at Alberta Elder Abuse Awareness Council. And Meaghan Westlund is a team leader for outreach services at the Unison Alberta Elder Abuse Shelter. And they're going to be doing a joint presentation called Caring Together, Enhancing Coordinated Community Response Models for Older Adults Living with Dementia and Experiencing Harm. I will invite both of you are on camera. Beautiful. I'm going to go off. And Ryan, if you can share the presentation on the screen, it would be wonderful.
I was just going to say, did you want me to do that still, April?
I'm gonna see if mine works here. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna start before we actually share the screen. I have to take a breath. I just got bad news this morning. Whew, okay. So an elder who I hold close to me passed away this morning. So it's just a little bit of a soothing sort of topic. So I'm just going to honor her before we start. So I want to acknowledge the passing of an elder, Miss Florence Large, who I hold close to my heart. Her journey to the spirit world has begun just moments ago. I will carry her today in this work that we do on elder abuse. And it is a reminder that the sacred responsibility we hold to honor, protect, and uplift our elders, both those here with us and those who have gone ahead. So I'm so sorry. This just came in as we were logging in. So, so I want to speak to that. Florence was an elder in my life who played an important role in not just my life, but the clients that I'd worked with in the past, with the young people. She shared a lot of her historic experiences as an Indigenous elder, experiencing residential schools, the 60s scoop, as well as MMIW. She had a sister very close to her at a very young age who was involved in an unfortunate situation when she was quite young. So these are the stories that Florence was able to share with us. And I think I just wanted to really honor that because of the topic today on elder abuse and just making sure that we acknowledge our elders and we're respecting them and holding their stories very close to our hearts. Whew, that was hard. So I'm going to share my screen. So I just hope you guys can bear with me throughout the presentation. If something comes up, that might be a little bit of a trigger just because of the timing. So thank you. Can you see that?
We can see your screen.
Okay.
If there's any chance you can make it a little bit bigger for everyone, that'd be great. If not, that's totally fine. You might be able to go into a presenter view at the bottom of your screen. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, let me just get back here. Okay. So thank you guys for letting me share that moment with you. So today, Meaghan and I are here together to talk about the elders or older adults living in both urban, Indigenous, and rural communities on elder abuse and dementia. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm April Tucker. I am the Indigenous Liaison with the Alberta Elder Abuse Awareness Council. I have been with A.E.A.A.C, our short abbreviation, since February 2024. I started with the council as the first staff member that was hired on. A.E.A.A.C has been around for 20 years, but as a council, not so much as an agency. So they've worked together for 20 years as a council with board members, increasing awareness on elder abuse throughout the communities. So some of the trainings that have been introduced in the communities is taking action against elder abuse, which my colleague Liz does the training for. So she is through all of Alberta, province-wide. She does this training both online and in person. And then as well as my colleague Jennifer does the taking or the It's Not Right, neighbors, friends, and family training. And for ourselves as staff, we also do that presentation to community members, and I've been able to do that too with some of the communities on the nations that I've worked with. But Jennifer does the direct training for that. And so A.E.A.C is also a part of the Core Alberta, and we work together with them throughout the year to make sure that we have the toolkit up to date for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. So lots of collaboration within the agency for A.E.A.C. And then for myself, I am the Indigenous liaison, so I work mostly directly with the nations south of Edmonton, just getting the awareness out there, working with case managers on the nations, as well as leadership and service providers to ensure that hubs, CCRs are coordinated and put together for nation members, for the elders, as well as family members who are part of this growing and holistic sort of approach in a more traditional way, as opposed to how urban is. And the system is very different with rural as well. So we will get into more of that as we move forward. And so we also provide the Staying Safe handbook, and you can utilize that online, or also you can order them for the physical copies. The nice thing about these handbooks is it can be read to you too. So for some of our elders or older adults who might have some challenges with reading or understanding what it's saying, it will reiterate the handbook to them as well. And there's lots of information in there. And if you have questions about that, you're welcome to ask later on, or you can send us an email. So I am going to pass this on to Meaghan. She is going to just introduce herself and what it is that she does, and then we'll go forward with the rest of the presentation.
Thanks, April. So hello, good morning. My name is Meaghan Westlund. I'm the team leader for outreach services at the Unison Alberta Elder Abuse Shelter. Just a note, a lot of people don't actually know that elder abuse shelters are present in the country. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of them. Of course, there's 2 in Alberta and 1 is in Calgary, and that is the one that I work out of. We support older adults 55 and up that are actively fleeing abuse. And while in shelter, the clients actually have access to personal caseworkers and support workers who can help them navigate housing, income support, referrals, or anything they might need to be successful before they enter the community. And then outreach services kind of takes over from there. So we're fortunate enough to be able to provide 1-year post-discharge services to the people that are leaving the shelter, whether they go into private housing or seniors housing. We can support them with accessing mental health supports, referrals for furniture and household goods, because as everybody knows that occasionally when you're leaving an abusive situation, you're unable to pack a bag or take any of your personal belongings. So we support with all of those things. And then, of course, the biggest thing with costs and all of that, access to nutrition, so food bank and things like that. While in outreach services, we also work within the community. So we raise awareness about elder abuse and work with agencies to see where that support might be needed. And my connection to A.E.A.A.C actually is that I'm a caseworker for them, and I'm the Calgary caseworker. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but A.E.A.A.C itself has caseworkers working around Alberta in rural areas, urban areas, just to make sure that we have that support across the province. And so, you know, we do that case management piece, and we do the presentations and the community awareness. And we also have the coordinated community response, which is sort of what this presentation really is about, a CCR for short. And the one in Calgary is called C.E.A.A.C, so Calgary Elder Abuse Awareness Collective. And so we have, a lot of senior serving agencies on our network, and we work to provide support where needed. It's not necessarily all about elder abuse, but it is about seniors itself, and making sure that we're supporting wherever we can. So what's really interesting about our CCR actually is that it's been around for years, but it was always really quite small. And, I took over the role as co-chair, and I myself co-chair with Karya. And we really saw a need for expanding and really seeing where we can reach as far as we can for all of the Calgary agencies and networks that provide senior services and care to seniors or have senior clients. And so this can include Karya. We have Jewish Family Services on our network. We also partner with Calgary Police Services. For those who are not in Calgary, a lot of immigration services and things like that. And then we also partner with Alzheimer's Calgary. And so that's really also where this presentation is going, is that when we look at elder abuse and dementia and memory care, it's really important to have these extra networks on our table, and on making sure that we're, coordinating our response throughout our city, our community, to make sure that older people are really supported in any stage of their life. So I'll send it off to April here.
So the question is, why is this conversation important? So violence against older adults is rising, and particularly in the forms that are hidden, such as financial abuse, neglect, emotional manipulation, and coercive control, but not limited to that. Older adults living with dementia or cognitive impairment are at greater risk due to memory loss, communication challenges, and dependency on others. This is a call to action. We must build safer, more respectful, and inclusive systems that recognize the dignity, the rights, and lived experiences of aging. So what we don't see is that the elder isn't always loud, that the abuse isn't always loud or visible, and it can show up in quiet, controlling ways, such as withholding money or isolating the elders from their families or pressuring them into silence. For elders living with dementia, the risk increases because they struggle to communicate. They might not feel safe talking about what they're experiencing, or they're afraid of the people that, who their caregivers are, or the people who are harming them. And they're relying completely on others if they're experiencing some of those memory challenges. So we need systems that not only respond, but truly honor the dignity and the rights and stories of our aging community members. This issue doesn't only affect our elders and our older adults, but it affects us as a community. It affects the family dynamics and anybody who is close to that elder. So what is the coordinated community response? So short form is their CCRs. So they're a collective of service providers. A lot of the time in our urban settings, it's a lot of service providers. So that could be anything from, as Meaghan had mentioned, the Alzheimer's Society. It could be addictions. If the elder is experiencing struggles with addiction, it can mean in-home care support, shelter support. We have case managers that support them through all of these connections. And it ensures a consistent, coordinated approach. So like Meaghan had mentioned, as a case manager, they're collaborating with all the sort of services that are within the city, and they come together to support the elder on whatever the issue is. If it's that they're being harmed, and there's financial abuse, there's physical abuse, isolation, it's ensuring that they're connected to those programs and those providers so that they can thrive in these challenges that they're facing. Strong community connections help build trust and improve how we share information and respond to these unique needs of the individuals. So for CCRs, in urban settings, oftentimes there are challenges because when you're in an urban setting, there is not those resources. We don't have Meaghan, we don't have the shelter out there, we don't have mental health supports or health services in those rural communities. So oftentimes it will be a collaboration of the people who know that elder or who are close to those elders, coming together to build that bond to support the elder who is experiencing harm or who is facing those dementia challenges. And as far as our Indigenous communities go, some of the nations do have a lot of those supports and services that are necessary, but not all of them do. Some of them are quite small, so they have to go outside of their own nations to gain those supports. Some of those supports might be the wellness centers, as mentioned again, addiction centers on the reserves, healthcare, in-home support. RCMP is involved. On some of the nations, they have their own peacemakers and bylaw officers. So those can be also part of the coordinated community response team. But as far as our Indigenous communities go, we don't typically call them CCRs. They're actually hubs. So that's a little bit of a difference between the Indigenous communities and the urban communities, is that a lot of them have considered them as hubs. Children's services is also involved because we have a lot of times kinship. So grandmothers, grandfathers, aunties and uncles are taking care of some of the children that are part of family members. So they are also involved in these hubs when it comes to these collaborations and conversations on how to support the elder. And then is for oftentimes with our Indigenous hubs as well, we involve natural supports. So when we're talking about how that looks, we're involving, family members of the elder, friends of the elders in the community who have concerns, who want to be a part of this collaboration to ensure the safety of their elder. And then on top of that, we also try to support the person causing harm. So in Indigenous communities, maybe not all, but a lot of the experiences that I've had with my work and my own personal experiences with my family, everybody comes together. So if somebody is struggling, it's just holding accountability to that individual as well. So it's also supporting the person who might be causing harm. Our elders are not going to just, leave their loved ones out there without the supports as well. They're going to more likely be able to open up and gain that trust if you're willing to support that person that they love as well. And then they may not see it as that. Our elders may not see that, that they're being harmed. They might just see it as that's just the family dynamics. We know with intergenerational trauma and the ripple effects, there's PTSD. So the way people react can be an indication of what the history looks like. So some of the key purposes of our CCRs are prevention, so education, awareness, and protection. So that's what the council has been doing for 20 years. They've been getting that education out there and spreading the awareness. And then because of the role that I'm in now, a lot of what we do in our Indigenous communities is we involve our youth. So I think for us, that's the next sort of steps we're going towards is getting that awareness piece out there for our younger generation. For me growing up, the main role in our lives was to respect our elders. So the truth is, growing up, I didn't really hear about elder abuse and or disrespecting our elders or harming our elders. That wasn't something that, I saw, and it certainly wasn't something that I would have practiced as a child or seen my aunties or uncles or our parents treating our elders that way. So I think it's a time to really get that information out there and and teach our young people with a kind heart. So with the response, we want to respond to these situations in a timely manner. So it's really getting the hubs together, having the discussions, bringing up those situations of members in the community, and really just diving into it and ensuring that that elder is safe and that they're thriving. And then the collaboration piece is just, as I'd mentioned, it's just a collection of service providers, natural supports, leaders from the communities coming together to support the elder and also the person causing the harm. And then supporting the elder with no judgment. We don't want to be judging them. We don't want to be telling them you shouldn't be doing that or they shouldn't be doing that. We want to be really kind and genuine with our responses to the elders who are experiencing these challenges, whether it's with elder abuse on its own or elder abuse and dementia. Just really being able to provide those resources for them to make them feel confident and empowered in their next steps moving forward. And accountability, as I mentioned, just ensuring that we're supporting the person causing harm. We don't know what it is that they're experiencing or what they've experienced in their past or why it is that they're doing this or they continue to do this. So it's educating that individual as well and involving them in those conversations and supporting them with whatever the next steps are for them so that they have a healthy family dynamic. And I think with this accountability, it's the healthy relationships with our children, which is a training that A.E.A.A.C will provide in the future here. So I think just having that conversation and getting that awareness piece out there too, just ensuring that the person causing harm isn't alone, and that we're there to support them as well. So the systemic improvements are the pathways and advocacy, including everybody, like I mentioned, including the person causing harm, our elders, their natural supports, RCMP, wellness programs, even just including culture and ceremony and talking circles and just making sure that we're being mindful of the culture as well and the traditions that our elders would follow and how that looks for them. And that's sort of where the difference comes in from our urban settings into the nation settings. It's if the elder follows those traditions, we really want to incorporate that into our CCRs with them. And then just the community safety, making sure we all have a part. We're all supporting the community, we're all supporting our elder, and we're all supporting the person causing harm. If we can't support the person causing harm, our elders are going to shut down and isolate themselves from having those conversations. So how our CCR support our case managers is streamlines communication and improves access to resources and reduces service gaps. So not only are we supporting the elder and the person causing harm, but we're supporting our case managers and supporting them from burning out. It's a hard role to play, and it's hard to not take that home with us. So we have these connections, we have this sort of holistic wraparound approach. We're supporting service providers, we're supporting our case managers, and we're supporting the individuals involved. It helps them to better navigate situation, ensures that individuals and families receive the most appropriate and timely support. And that's for example, our dementia, Alzheimer's Society with Calgary. If we're seeing that we have an elder experiencing elder abuse and having cognitive declines, we want to ensure that those supports are in place and that they, if that's where it is, that they're taking the lead on what the next steps are to support the elder. Communities benefit from having clear shared vision of their CCRs to ensure it's effective and grounded in local realities. So like I mentioned, each sort of community is different. So we have it is different in rural as opposed to Indigenous nations, and then also our urban nations. So our urban communities, sorry. And then I did talk about our Indigenous hubs. So as I mentioned, it's a different sort of approach. It's a more of a holistic approach. It's everyone together. So it's not just dealing with the elder and service providers. It's the whole family. It's the whole community. So strong CCRs are built on relationships. Like I mentioned, relationships are key. Natural connections are important. If we have an elder who's experiencing these alone, they're going to isolate. They're not necessarily going to want to talk to anybody about it. Oftentimes, if we see that an elder doesn't have those natural supports or those people in their life, they sort of just end up on the back burner and we don't know what's going on because they don't open up about it. They don't know who to go to talk about it. So they're experiencing this trauma and mistreatment alone in the darkness, and there's nobody there to support it. So the approach ensures safety and dignity for our elders and support for their families and culturally appropriate healing opportunities for those who have caused harm. So I had already mentioned that, but an example would be talking to the youth and that prevention piece. So being on the nations and going to the schools and teaching them and educating them, spreading that awareness so that they are moving forward and ensuring that, they are better, providers to our elders and that they are taking care of their elders. For myself, growing up on the reserve in Ontario, so I'm from Six Nations Reserve in Ontario, and we used to attend gatherings. So our elders gatherings, our nation is just along the Grand River. So we'd have this at Chiefswood Park. So there's this big giant open grass area, and some people may know where I'm talking about, but we used to have elders gatherings, and the elders would always talk to us about taking care of our youth. And that always stuck. And I remember being about 12 or 13 years old and hearing them always saying this. So the majority of my time in the work field has been with our youth. And so I've always taken care of our